Welcome to Cannabis Plant Trimmer Ergonomics. Learning objectives. Learn how to minimize the strain undergone by cannabis workers, specifically at the trimming station, to reduce repetitive motion injuries and ensure worker safety. Learn about the characteristics of a worker's motion during cannabis trimming to assess musculoskeletal strain and identify areas in need of improved methods. As every grower knows, the most time-consuming and labor-intensive part of the cannabis cultivation process is trimming the harvested buds. Repetitive motion injuries, also known as musculoskeletal disorders or MSDs, are temporary or permanent injuries to muscles, nerves, ligaments, and tendons caused by performing the same motion over and over again. Ergonomics is the science of finding an ideal fit between people and the work they do. Applying ergonomics to trimming focuses on preventing common workplace injuries such as strains, stress, and damage of joints caused by manicuring cannabis plants. While a few small plants can be trimmed by hand with scissors in a reasonably short time, larger plants or greater numbers can be a gargantuan task. Discover ergonomically designed equipment, for example, chair type and height, table shape and height, and clipper design, and methods that help to reduce MSDs during trimming. Learning objectives. Trimmer ergonomics. Cumulative trauma disorder. Arm and hand ergonomics. Elbow and shoulder ergonomics. Good posture. Eye care. Trimming tools. Trimming equipment. Sitting position. Trimming ergonomics. Common ergonomic issues. Trimmer ergonomics. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, repetitive motion injury cases accounted for 33% of all worker injury and illness cases. This ergonomics training for trimmers will introduce regulations over the requirements of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, and the general duty that employers must protect every worker from injury. The most common injuries seen in the cannabis industry are caused by biological or chemical hazards, such as contact with pesticides, disinfectants, and any volatile organic compounds, and physical hazards such as noise exposure and ergonomics. This will provide a starting point for analyzing preventable injuries. Musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs, are the #1 issue in the cannabis industry, and there's a high probability they'll accidentally have these other injuries happen while working. 1. Strain, musculoskeletal disorder. 2. Equipment injury or cut, trimming scissors. 3. Walking surface injury, fall or slip. 4. Struck by object, being physically hit. 5. Strike by object, running into something. The most common body parts injured are fingers, hands, lower back, eyes, and knees, but there is a concerning number of foreign body and eyes injury types. Eye injuries are quite common in cultivation facilities from pesticide overspray to machine trimmers ejecting plant material. But when workers are trimming, these injuries are easily preventable with a small investment in eye protection, for example safety glasses, and enforce their use. These injuries can be mitigated or controlled through ergonomics, which is defined as the scientific discipline concerned with understanding the interactions among humans and other elements of a system. Ergonomics applies theory, principles, data, and methods to design to optimize human well-being and overall system performance, or more simply put, fitting the job to the person. The goal is to eliminate discomfort and risk of injury due to work. Implementing ergonomic practices can prevent or reduce work-related MSDs and increase the trimmer's efficiency. Workers in cultivation operations have some motions and tasks that are similar to other licensed cannabis facilities, like lifting heavy objects, seed-to-sale data entry, and standing for long periods. Cannabis operations also have some motions and tasks that are similar to other general industries, like farming and agricultural operations, such as pruning, harvesting, etc. But there is a task and motion in the cannabis industry that is uniquely its own: trimming. There are many different methods of cannabis trimming, including pre-harvest trimming and pruning, wet trimming, dry trimming, and machine trimming. The process is a tedious one, where the trimmer removes the leaves of the cannabis flower with scissors, while leaving the trichomes and resin from the plant intact. Trimmers must be provided with a safe workplace, along with proper safety awareness training about the hazards of the workplace, so they're informed of any possible work-related injuries. This should concern everyone in the cannabis industry, to be proactive to keep their trimmers safe by developing their internal ergonomic processes and practices for their operations. Since the quality of smoke, vapor, and ultimately the consumer's experience is affected by the quality of the trimming job, they always identify and correct health and safety hazards in the workplace to perform work safely. Cannabis industry regulations are constantly changing and establishing best practices for cultivation operations, and so ergonomic standards are being implemented to ensure the safety of trimmers and provide an environment for manicuring best-in-class cannabis. Cumulative trauma disorder: bending your wrist, raising your arm above your head, or working with your elbow at an awkward angle. Each is a simple movement you use to perform your job throughout the day. But if you repeat these or other motions over and over again while you work or play, you may develop repetitive motion injuries, also called cumulative trauma disorder or CTD. It could be days, months, even years before symptoms of pain or tingling appear in your hand or arm. But if you know how to work and play smart, symptoms may never appear, and if they do, you can take steps to prevent them from getting worse. Think of your hand and arm as one of nature's perfect inventions, so without much upkeep, this amazing, well-designed tool made of muscles, nerves, tendons, and bones can help you do the hundreds of different motions needed to work or play. Whether you're tossing plant material over your shoulder, squeezing scissor handles, holding or squeezing buds, your hand and arm perform constantly throughout the day, and certain wrist and hand movements may increase your chances of developing repetitive motion problems. By making a few small changes, you can break the movement patterns that could otherwise set you up for injury. There are commonly used scissors used for manicuring cannabis buds that have a curved or a straight blade to provide workers with options that work best for them to avoid injuries by using well-designed tools. Also, simply modifying the way a trimmer uses their wrists and hands can help to avoid harming any muscles, nerves, or joints, along with using the scissor type that works best for the individual's body to reduce musculoskeletal strain while working. Also, carpal tunnel syndrome, or CTS, occurs from trimming when there's pressure on a nerve in your wrist, which can be a result of repetitive motions. It occurs when the carpal tunnel inside your wrist begins to swell, squeezing one of your nerves, so you are more likely to develop carpal tunnel syndrome if you are repeatedly bending your wrist. Symptoms of CTS include your hands feel numb while trimming, a weak thumb or experiencing difficulty gripping, aches or pains in the arm, hands, or fingers, and occasional tingling or pins and needles. Arm and hand ergonomics. Hand trimming plants during harvest time will always be relevant in the cannabis industry, with consumers wanting high-end cannabis that has beautiful aesthetics, which is only accomplished by trimming properly. Manicuring is a part of the production process that adds value to the cultivation, options, and product that's sold, so it's essential to prevent the minor muscle tension, stiffness, aches, fatigue, and eye strain that can result from sitting for extended periods. Right-size tools. Using tools that are the right size and length for your hand keeps you from having to adjust by using awkward positions to hold them. Best shape tools. Use tools that are the right shape for the job you're doing, so you don't have to use too much force on the wrong part of your hand. Least vibration. If using machine trimmers or other power tools, use ones with the least amount of vibration possible, so discuss how to take steps to reduce any vibrations. Use correct position. How you place yourself at your workstation can determine the position of your wrist and hand so that to work smart, stand above the object or sit if necessary to work in the right position. Keep wrists straight. Be sure to keep your wrists straight or neutral when you work. Avoid awkward positions. By avoiding bent extended or twisted positions for long periods, you keep extra pressure off your wrist and hand. Use entire hand. Use as much of your hand as possible when holding an object, so you won't have to pinch with your fingers. And use both hands. To give your hands a rest, try using one hand for a while, then the other. Elbow and shoulder ergonomics. The elbow, when flexed, should remain in a bent straight upward position, between an angle of 60 to 100 degrees, and using the ergonomic table, reduce the amount of time spent out of this zone to 0% of the time. When using different types of trimmers, the radial deviation, which is the bending or curvature of a finger toward the radial side, for example, towards the thumb, and supination, for example, rotation of the forearm and hand, so that the palm faces forward or upward, may need to be adjusted so there are no negative effects. There's no clear correlation if using curved or straight blade trimmers is better ergonomically to determine which type of hand tools should be used, but you can prevent repetitive motion injuries in your elbow and shoulder by knowing how to use and move them safely. By knowing your safety zone, you can avoid extreme movements and keep from straining your muscles and joints. You have a ready-made safety zone that lets you work or lift things with less chance of hurting your elbow and shoulder. To find your safety zone, stand up, then let your hands drop to your sides. Where your knuckles are is your lower safety limit, and then your shoulder level is the upper safety limit, so working within this range to protect your elbow and shoulder. Keep your arm close to your body, and avoid using back and forth movements with your elbow bent. Use less effort by using your entire arm to do the job, and when possible lift one item at a time. You're less likely to strain your muscles if you limit the weight of what you lift, even if it means lifting more times. In between repetitions, give the overused parts of your hand and arm time to recover, so you'll find that prevention and self-care alone do not stop repetitive motion symptoms. You can prevent repetitive motion injuries by doing exercises that are designed to improve the movement of your hands and arms. Also, strength and endurance exercises will help you to stay healthy and be able to work comfortably for longer periods. Developing a general plan of action that helps you live a healthy lifestyle, both on and off the job, is another good move you can make to keep in shape. By doing simple exercises, eating well, and relaxing, you can give yourself a rest from your routine and increase your odds of avoiding repetitive motion problems. Sometimes, despite your efforts to prevent repetitive motion injury, symptoms appear, and resting alone may not cure the aches in your hand or arm. One of the best ways to recover is to take time out to give your hand or arm time to rest, so take lunch or other scheduled breaks, and when possible, vary your activities. Good posture. You can minimize unnecessary stress on your back by using good sitting posture, maintaining the 3 natural curves of your spine, so to maximize comfort in your chair by using a few practical posture comfort tips. Lumbar support. Use a lumbar support to relieve strain in your lumbar curve, so you can use a lumbar roll or a towel rolled up to 4 to 6 inches or 10 to 15 centimeters. Then place it in the small of your back. Adjust chair. Adjust your chair height so that your weight is shifted forward off your spine and your arms are at desk level, then you may need a small wedge on your seat. Shift positions. Shift your position throughout the day to keep your muscles loose and to relax away tension due to immobility, but be sure your spine stays aligned. Keep feet flat. Keep your feet flat on the floor to help maintain good sitting posture and aid circulation in your legs, so if they don't reach the floor, use a footrest. Ergonomic designs should always minimize the reach or distance that the trimmer handles plant material to help limit shoulder and back injuries that'll keep them in a safe reach zone for the repetitive motions they'll do in the work area. Eye care. Using your eyes doesn't harm them when trimming cannabis plants, but when focused for long periods can cause temporary eye discomfort. The muscles that move and focus your eyes become strained so your eyes become dry and itchy. So get regular eye exams to be sure your eyes are healthy and vision problems are corrected, in addition to practicing eye comfort tips to prevent everyday eye strain. Blinking. To keep your eyes moist, prevent itching, and aid in cleaning, blink them often. Reducing glare. to reduce lighting reflection and glare from your work area. Reposition your station or modify the lighting. Eye palming. To rest your eyes from the light, shape your hands into shallow cups and place them lightly over your closed eyes, then hold them there for 1 minute. Refocusing. To exercise the muscles that focus your lenses, periodically look away from what's immediately in front of you and focus on an object at least 20 feet or 6 meters away, then repeat 3 times. Eye rolling. To exercise the muscles that move your eyes, roll your eyeballs around clockwise 3 times, then counterclockwise 3 times and make wide circles. Trimming tools. Every successful growing operation needs to know the ins and outs of how to trim, since the industry is constantly changing and trimming costs are going up, while the price per pound is decreasing. The goal of growing cannabis is to increase profitability by reducing costs, and one of the best ways to do this is by using trimming best practices that will keep your growing operation thriving. Trimming your cannabis involves getting rid of everything except the actual buds, including the stems, plant branches, fan leaves, and sugar leaves. The idea is to only have trimmed buds without any leaves, as untrimmed cannabis with a lot of excess plant matter can create a harsher product without adding potency, and nobody wants that. Around 75% is a good weight loss average from drying alone, so that means 1 pound or 16 ounces has dried out to 1/4 of its weight to 4 ounces before you start trimming. If you weigh before you trim, there's even more loss there, and you can avoid weight loss. That'll happen while manicuring, but knowing how to trim cannabis plants begins with using the right tools for the job will help avoid unnecessary losses. Trimming shears or scissors. First, get yourself a few pairs of scissors and shears, specially made for trimming, so you'll need small scissors for intricate, close to the bud trimming and larger shears for branches. Both your scissors and shears should be sharp, since if your scissors are not sharp enough, you won't be able to get close enough to the buds and hard to trim the branches. Always keep spare scissors and shears around, since after hours of trimming, the resin from the cannabis buds will coat your scissors and make them less effective. Having spare shears around means you can swap for a new pair at your leisure, so the ones used are comfortable, since the trimming process takes hours. If they're not comfortable and designed to conform to your grip, you will end up with hand cramps, so always trim your buds so it's an enjoyable trimming experience. Trimming wrist rests. Wrist rests are devices used to support your wrists while trimming or using scissors, since this can prevent injury to the hand as it stops your hand from resting at an uncomfortable angle. Trimming cannabis can take a toll on your health in terms of neck and back pain, as well as the possibility of developing a repetitive motion disorder or RMD, such as carpal tunnel syndrome or CTS or tendonitis. So to help prevent these ailments, stretch regularly and take breaks. Try standing for a while you work, rather than sitting all day, and by improving your posture to prevent back pain. Some have been known to use a back brace for support during long shifts, and there are even new lightweight scissors with reduced resistance springs that make the job easier and faster. Trimming equipment. Comfortable chair. Anytime you work sitting down, whether at a computer or to trim buds, you'll need a comfortable, supportive chair to prevent back and butt pain. To manicure buds and trim them until perfection takes hours, so don't skimp on your chair. Trimming tray. Trimming trays make proper trimming much more seamless, and they provide a great place to store buds being trimmed, as well as newly trimmed buds. You should have one for each trimmer workstation to help reduce waste and separate those sugar leaves, or use a screen for the post-trim flower to collect keef, while keeping everything away from larger plant material that's waste. U-Design Workstation. A variety of U-Design workstations can provide 270 degrees of working surface, so you can ergonomically place trimming equipment and plant material where it's easy to reach. Many times tables can be mechanically raised or lowered to the required height, so the work surface is ergonomic for each trimmer's height, and the wraparound U-Design will increase the working area available, but leaves the center clear for hand trimming activities and any equipment. Cleaning supplies. Speaking of cleaning, you'll need to buy the right supplies for removing the resin from your scissors and trays. Rubbing alcohol and a clean rag or cloth works great for removing the stickiness. You also have the option to remove the resin with your fingers to make finger hash. Because this is a time-consuming process, so most stick to using rubbing alcohol. If you prefer not to use gloves, then keep some coconut oil nearby since it's an effective and pleasant way to clean your sticky hands. Trimming clothes. You might not think you need special trimming clothes, but considering how sticky and messy the trimming process can be, so wear something you don't mind getting dirty, but's also clean. Remember that people will be consuming what you touch. And since you'll likely be trimming hours and hours, put on something comfortable, and many trimmers use disposable gloves to prevent their hands from getting sticky. Durable, non-stick, food-safe gloves are best, since these keep your hands clean and maintain the integrity of the buds at the same time, while low-quality gloves often have chemicals that could be passed on to cannabis buds. Use a silk apron if you truly want to improve your trimming experience, since it protects your clothes, is resistant to stickiness, and provides an excellent place to wipe your hands. Automatic tools. While the electric trimming has been designed to work with whole branches being fed into the machine by the trimmer, it is recommended to always read the manufacturer's user manual or instructions for hardware that automatically trim buds and remove them from the branches. When referencing the manufacturer manual for automatic trimmers, you'll find that their operation is as simple as placing the individual buds into the top of the drum, where they will be gently moved over the metal grill by rotating soft leather straps, while the blade below the grill trims off the excess foliage. The finished flowers then exit from the machine automatically, ready to be collected and to start the drying process, or may require some additional manual clean-up trimming. Sitting position. Sitting for a long time regularly is linked to many health issues including obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and other issues, since we often forget that sitting for a long time is a common cause of posture issues. Trimmers spend a large period of the day sitting, so this means following the correct sitting posture is even more important for office workers. However, many of us get this wrong, and bad sitting posture in the office can most commonly cause back and neck pain, which is often the most popular complaint from trimmers. This could be due to disc degeneration or because of the excess pressure being suffered by the spine. Back and neck pain can also be due to a slumped position, causing nerve constriction, as the spine and other bones change their position due to the long-term effects of bad posture. When this happens, the skeletal system begins to come into contact with surrounding nerves, pinching them, and when nerves become pinched, this causes pain in the body, most commonly in the back and neck. There is no one or single body position that is recommended for sitting, since every worker can sit comfortably by adjusting the angles of their hips, knees, ankles, and elbows. The following are general recommendations, and occasional changes beyond given ranges are acceptable and sometimes beneficial. Sitting position recommendations. Keep the joints such as hips, knees, and ankles at an angle of 90 degrees or slightly higher. Keep knee joints at or below the hip joints. Keep ankle joints in front of the knees. Keep a gap the width of 3 fingers between the back of the knee joint and the front edge of the seat. Keep feet flat on the floor or on a footrest. Keep the upper body straight and in an upright position so you're not twisted. Keep the lumbar support of the backrest in your lumbar region, curve in the lower back. Keep the back straight to avoid twisting. Keep the head aligned with the spine. Keep upper arms between vertical and 20 degrees forward. Keep elbows at an angle of around 90 degrees, close to the body, and avoid lifting or dropping shoulders. Keep the wrists straight and aligned with the forearms. Place the working object so that it can be seen at a viewing angle of 10 to 30 degrees below the line of sight. Keep shoulders low and relaxed. Keep elbows tucked in. Tuck your chin in and do not bend forward when looking down and forward. Change positions frequently but remain within recommended ranges. Alternate crossed legs. Avoid bending to the side. Avoid bending forward. Do not slouch. Do not sit for more than 50 minutes at a time. Avoid this position when a high force application is needed to complete machine trimming. Trimming ergonomics. You may not realize that your wrists are in the wrong position until you start experiencing wrist pain. Similarly, you may not notice how much you are straining your neck and shoulders until you begin to feel pain. To prevent these injuries from occurring, it is important to get the following trimming ergonomics factors to address common symptoms of repetitive strain injury to hands and wrists. Weakness in the hands or arms, aching or pain in hands or wrists, chronically cold hands and particularly the fingertips. Other common symptoms include swelling, tingling, and numbness. Wrist placement. To prevent injury, you should keep your wrists in a neutral position, rather than bent up or down, so the following image demonstrates the correct wrist placement when trimming. Scissor placement. When using trimming scissors, your hands should be placed just below elbow level and elbows should be resting on the desk or gently sloping away from you, so the elbows should be at an open angle at 90 to 110 degrees. This is designed to relax your forearms and shoulders. If possible, find a style of scissors, for example straight or rounded blade, etc. to achieve a negative tilt. This means the scissors will be sloping down and away from you, so your arms and hand follow the downward slope of your thighs. You should position your scissors so your elbows and arms remain as close to your sides as possible, and your arms should sit at or below a 90-degree angle. Body posture. Your feet should be flat on the floor, so if your feet do not reach the floor, or this is not possible, you should get a footrest. You should also keep your back straight while sitting at the workstation with your back fully touching the chair, so try not to lean forward while you are working, as this can cause neck and back injury. Plant placement. It is possible to strain your eyes by putting your face too close to a screen. Additionally, neck injuries can occur if the plant material being trimmed is placed at an awkward angle or too far from your eye level. Your eyes should be looking at the top of the cannabis buds being manicured to help keep your head as level as possible so you don't strain your neck. A mechanical workstation can help ensure your work area is placed at the correct level for you to avoid putting your health at risk. It is important to place your work area at the most ideal height, angle, and distance for your needs. Scissor handling. The scissors should be positioned to keep your arms at or below a 90-degree angle, so your hand should not be straining, nor should it feel uncomfortable during use. Common ergonomic issues. The following are common trimming ergonomics mistakes that can cause injury and pain. Hand or wrist heel pressure. Leaning on the heel of your hand or wrist can overstretch the nerve in your carpal tunnel. Not taking breaks. Not moving your joints enough or taking frequent breaks can cause injury to the hands and wrists. It can also cause muscles to become stiff. If you have existing wrist pain, taking frequent breaks is important to alleviate wrist pain, so encourage more movement throughout the day to help reduce pain and injury. Badly placed scissors. Injuries can occur if the scissor puts strain on the hands or wrists while working at a different level as the workstation, or if the scissors being used is lower, then this can cause eye strain by looking a further distance. Trimming too fast. By trimming fast and pressing down too hard on the scissors gripes can cause fingertips to become sore, so trimming gently can decrease the risk of injury and pain along with decreasing the chances of accidentally cutting yourself. Proper hand position. Your hands and wrists should be in line with your forearms, so if you work while standing, ensure your work surface is at waist height. Trimming stiff hand. If you are experiencing severe aches and pains, you should speak to a medical professional and visit a massage therapist to help with aches and pains in the joints and muscles, who may recommend specific exercises you can practice to help with the pain and stiffness. Proper wrist angle. Ensure your wrists are not pointing up or down, and they should be in a neutral position, with the thumb in line with the forearm. If you feel like you are still straining or uncomfortable, you can get a wrist rest for extra support. Treating wrist pain. If you are unsure of how to practice correct trimming ergonomics, an occupational therapist can teach you how to perform repetitive tasks more safely and pain-free. If you experience inflammation or flare-up, place an ice pack on the skin, but it should not be applied directly on the skin, so make sure you hold the ice inside a flannel or tissue. First of all, safety and compliance are paramount since you've always heard the phrase safety first. And that should always be your mantra, because it is true here too. Be mindful of hazardous situations and ask for personal protective equipment or PPE, such as a mask or respirator, if you have a strong sensitivity to pollen or dust, or have an allergic reaction to resin oils. Thank you for viewing Cannabis Plant Trimmer Ergonomics.